Before we dive into deployment, let's talk about what the 1800 series sensor actually is. Well, the 1800 series sensor is just that. It's a sensor device that tests your Wi-Fi. So this can be installed and actively join your network and run a series of tests across your network while connected to the Wi-Fi, giving you a bit of analytics and insights, and allowing you to also be proactive as you take a look at the time-based events that have happened previously. So this connects into the network or connects into a USB powered adapter and joins Wi-Fi network. So let's go into how do we actually deploy one of these and get them configured. Jumping into the DNA center, I'm just going to go ahead and go to plug and play as I've connected a few wireless sensors and they're ready to be provisioned. So under my plug and play tab, you can see I have my two sensors waiting to be provisioned. We're going to go ahead and claim them both. Assign them to a site, and if you need to, you can change the name at this time. On the next screen, if we did have any sensor settings that we wanted to provision, which tells the sensors how to connect to the network in the event that they do not have network connectivity and may just be powered over USB, we can go ahead and assign that configuration now. The last step here is to actually claim these devices. So we'll claim them. Now, while we wait for these devices to join the network, we're going to go ahead and create some tests. So I'm coming into my DNA Center menu here, go into Assurance, and under Assurance, we'll see Manage Sensors. Under my test templates, I'm going to go ahead and create a new test template. I'll give this template a name. And then I can select one of my SSIDs that the DNA Center has deployed, or I can enter my own SSID information over here on the right-hand side and maybe test a different SSID from a different network. We're going to be testing the Superman network today. In this screen, I'm going to tell the sensor how we're going to connect to this network. So I'll put a username and a password. The next screen defines some of the testing that's going to be done on the network. By default, we will be applying onboarding test that will tell us about the association, authentication, and DHCP. We're also going to get RF assessments. So what's our data rates? What's the signal to noise ratio look like? Then I have a series of networking tests that I can run. One I like to run is the DNS test. Can I actually resolve DNS names outside of my network? Under performance test, we have a few different performance tests that we can run, like an IPSLA test, an iPerf test, or the internet test. I like the internet test as it goes out and checks the speed of your network connectivity as it is on the internet. If you want to, you can go ahead and put your own network testing servers here, or you can just let DNA Center pick its own. Application testing can be quite powerful. So normally we want to application test applications that are inside the network in our data center. So the first one I'll do is a host reachability, which is really just a ping test. The next thing is a web test. I want to test some internal websites, so I actually want to know that I'm getting web content. If you have an email server, there's email tests that you can run as well, such as POP3, IMAP, and Outlook. We'll then select what bands we want to run the test in. I want to run the test in the 5 GHz range. I also want to run this test on 2 access points. The maximum access points is 5. The next is, what RSSI do I want these APs to be in? I may have 5 APs in this location. So I want to make sure the closest APs are what I'm testing. So anything outside of a negative 60 from the slider, those APs will not be tested. The other nice thing about having multiple APs is this will also tell you information about roaming. Now that my test, I'm going to go ahead and create these tests. An important note in here is based off the amount of tests you have, this screen tells you how long these tests are going to take. We'll then deploy the test to a site. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and deploy these to the 4th floor. We can then set the scheduling interval, or we can mark this as a continuous test. The test is always running. I'm going to do a periodic test every 15 minutes. And this way I can look at how these tests have been run throughout the day and find out if there's any issues at certain times. So let's deploy the test. So we're going to go ahead and place these on the map now. I'll go to my main menu, Design, Network Hierarchy. I'm going to find the floor of where I have these sensors deployed. I put my sensors where they belong on the heat map, or where they've been deployed. I'll save that. We're going to go ahead and deploy our test now. So I'll come back to my sensors, to my test, and run the test. Now it's time to take a look at the data and see what type of data the sensors have given us. I'm going to come to my assurance, dashboards, and sensors. Here I'll get a view of previous tests that I've run and the current test that is running if it's finished running. I can also see the percentage of failures that have happened in each one of these tests and success. So I can see for RF assessment, out of 32 tests, there are 0 failures. Same with network services, performance, and app connectivity, which is great. That means I'm getting my websites and I'm not having any issues. To dive down a bit further, I can actually go to the sensor and take a look at the data from that test. So I'm going to go back to Assurance, Manage, and Sensors. I'm going to select a sensor. And then coming to my sensor performance trends, I want to take a look at my Internet NDT downlink throughput test. So we can see over time, I'll get information on what the download speeds were from this test. So we can see here, I had a download speed of 153 megs on this NDT test. There's information like this in all the different tests that we run. Thank you very much for sitting with us and seeing how we can deploy the 1800 series wireless sensor and utilize it to gather network analytics. If you'd like to see further demonstrations, please contact your local sales representative or visit www.data3.com.